joining us now, the analyst behind that call, Goldman's Chris Shibutani. Chris, thanks for being here. So a lot of this has to do with market share, right? The idea that Novo and Lilly will continue to maintain 80% market share by 2030. What gives you the confidence that they're able to do that? And how would you kind of stack up the competitive posture at this juncture?
Thank you, Leslie. It's good to be here. I think the opportunity here for these anti-obesity medications has clearly been building for a very long time, and it's taken many years of scientific development, and there are many practical matters to actually getting these drugs to market. Manufacturing has been a key constraint, and to answer your question about what gives us confidence that Lilly and Novo will be able to continue and maintain the competitive advantage that they have is the need to actually invest significant amounts of capital and effort to develop these relatively sophisticated injectable products to make them available to market. It goes beyond just demand, but certainly bridging that demand with manufacturing capacity and long history of scientific advantages that both companies have, partly from their legacy work in diabetes.
So what happens in 2030 then? Is it that's basically the timeline that competitors will be able to catch up, or do you think that the market will change, or is that just kind of as far out as you're willing to look at this point in time?
It's a bit a part of the vernacular in terms of mileposts, in terms of thinking about how many of these markets, and particularly for the pharmaceutical industry, I think we're at a discussion point thinking about how now to the end of the decade, how different portfolios will address. But certainly the market has been very dynamic. We've seen since the most recent approvals just last year for Lilly's drug, which is Zepbound by brand for obesity, we're anticipating that there's going to be continuous developments, both in terms of label expansion going through the years, competitor drugs with data that are poised to potentially enter as well, and then the transition to potentially oral, not injectable therapeutics. This is a journey that we're going to be watching over the next 6 years. 2030 takes us to kind of a convenient point, but certainly we certainly expect that there's going to be continuous evolution of the market with products, presentations, and it just is a time point that we have been consistent about talking to investors.
Chris, I wish you'd talk a bit more about whether or not you see a step function in a true oral delivery mechanism and whether or not the insurers are thinking about it in a different way than they were, say, a year ago.
I think whenever you think about any advanced therapeutics, the ability to offer different options for different patients is potentially quite democratizing. There is always going to be a certain portion of the population that is going to be averse to needles. Now, mind you that these are very infrequent, currently once-a-week injections. Research efforts are being done to extend that, but oral treatment options would probably require a different kind of discipline, one that people are perhaps more familiar with, taking a medicine once a day. Compliance is going to be a factor. Your question, Carl, centered on this insurance and coverage of these medications. And while we don't have specific information yet, a lot will depend upon the profile of these drugs based upon data. Price points, as more options become available, could become more attractive and therefore become a source of negotiation debate, not just for insurance companies, but also as we transition to thinking about how the U.S. government will be paying for this extremely large category of medicines that continues to grow.